Other people's views and troubles can be contagious. Don't sabotage yourself by unwittingly adopting negative, unproductive attitudes through your association with others. Epictetus. Did physics just prove manifestation? Let me answer with maybe. I'm still on the fence as to what this year's Nobel Prize in Physics says exactly. If you're anything like me, you accept ideas only at face value. You do your own research and find facts before letting anything become gospel. This is how I have always felt about manifestation or the law of attraction. It seems to make sense on paper and is backed up by evidence such as the double slit experiment. It doesn't change the fact that every time I researched the subject, I saw cult-like figures explaining it as though it was the secret to the universe. These prophets of Abraham always seemed to be in a church basement and have the worst audio and video quality possible. One would think that if they could manifest anything, they might try for a new studio. But I digress to the reason for this video. My aunt sent me an article that blew my mind. It was regarding this year's Nobel Prize in Physics. The earners of the 2022 Nobel, John F. Clauser, Elaine Aspect, and Anton Zeilinger, earned the prize by proving what Einstein referred to as spooky action at a distance. The scientists proved through the Bell experiment that entangled particles, photons in this case, are bound no matter the distance. I have links in the description for the exact article, but this briefly summarizes it. So what could this mean for manifestation? What will be echoed through the aforementioned church basements and from every guru that actually follows science? I decided to find this out and immediately searched on YouTube. While I couldn't find anything bridging the gap between manifestation and the prize, I finally found someone that seemed a little more trustworthy and less cult-like. His name is Quazi Johir, and he has a certain elegance to his voice and how he describes what he has learned. Bromance aside, I went down the proverbial rabbit hole of YouTube and began to take notes from Quazi. I've also linked one of his videos below. I would hope that he can describe this technique better than I. Now that I have found some science to back up the whole manifestation thing, and found someone to provide insight without feeling like I would get tricked into giving away my firstborn, with nothing to lose and seemingly everything to gain, let's go. On a side note, I almost made a video titled Vision versus Wishful Thinking, where I would debunk all these cult leaders. If this doesn't work, I probably will. So where do I begin? When do I take the red pill and see how far manifestation can take me? I will get to the exercise I am trying for the next 30 days later in this video, after a bit of explanation. My takeaway is abridged, but still thought-provoking. You have stimuli throughout your day, and they can be broken down into 4 parts: the stimulus, cognition, recognition, and reaction. The stimulus is, for example, I'm alone in the forest and there is an animal nearby. Cognition, I know this because I hear the sound of a stick breaking. Recognition, I have heard a stick breaking before. I recognize this as similar to another time that I heard a creature in the forest. And the reaction, if the last time I saw a creature in the woods that made this sound, it was a deer running away, I may pay no attention to it. Conversely, what if the last time it was a bear and I had to get away? You see how these 2 scenarios can have a very different effect on your reaction. What if the sound was made 2 times each by the 2 scenarios? Then you would have a 50-50 shot for what it could be. You know that when you jump at a pool, you get wet. Every time you have jumped in a pool, you have gotten wet. You have seen no challenges to this. When the same result keeps coming up, it becomes a conviction. As Quazi describes, the first 3, stimulus, cognition, and recognition, are your subconscious. They are out of your control as much as the blood pumping through your veins. The final, reaction, is chosen by you. You could choose to be on edge and worried, or choose that the sound you hear is just a deer out moseying around. Did you change what the sound was? Or just your perception? So your reaction to every stimulus is caused by your beliefs and convictions. We all have convictions, and they control your perception in your subconscious mind. But they weren't always convictions. They began as thoughts, moved to beliefs, and finally became convictions. Your self-view is a conviction. If you believe that you are the best chef in the world, you will work harder to make sure that you are that. If you believe that you can't even make toast, you will give up and train yourself to think, why bother? If you believe that when you begin cutting vegetables for your mirepoix, this will be the best soup ever, then it will be. You will find a way to make it so. If you think about how bad the last soup you made was, it's much more likely that it will be awful. Do you see how these thoughts can really damage your outlook and ultimately your path in life? The paradigm, or worldview, is how you perceive your surroundings. My father had a way of focusing on the negative. This president is terrible. Oh, they never plow the streets in this town. Whereas my mother has always been the opposite. How can I help this situation, or what can I give to this person? I know which side I chose, but I am sure I have some convictions that are not helping anyone. I think it's time to relearn them. Quazi does warn us not to completely disregard our current worldview. We need to include it in our new worldview. Thoughts and ideas come to us from all angles. If I think I am a terrible cook, I am putting this out there in the world. Then someone else tells me that I am a terrible cook or my soup sucks, and I get upset or react in any way other than brushing it off. This thought becomes a feeling and begins to take hold of everything. Now, every time I start my mirepoix, I have at the back of my mind that my soup will suck. Contagious, isn't it? Once this takes hold, your perception changes, and the view you take on the world will try to confirm everything that was previously just a thought. Once you start confirming it, it will ultimately become a conviction. Thus, it will be locked into your subconscious mind. The first exercise that Quazi gives in his video is as follows. Set an alarm or find some kind of reminder for you to set every hour on the hour, such as 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, etc. Regardless of what you are doing, try to focus on your breath for 1 minute. Do this naturally. Don't change your breath. Just simply focus on it. I've done very little meditation in my life, but this sounds easy enough for me. I'm going to try this for 30 days, and given its simplicity, I don't foresee it being difficult. The second, and quite profound exercise Quazi outlined, was a way of reframing your thoughts and nipping them in the bud before they become beliefs or convictions. Any bad thoughts that come into your mind, give them no energy. If someone says that you are a bad cook or your soup is terrible, just let them have that opinion. Don't react to it in any way. Don't get angry or try to refute them. Simply take it as their opinion and nothing more. Other people's views and troubles can be contagious. Don't sabotage yourself by unwittingly adopting negative, unproductive attitudes through your association with others. Epictetus. So when a good thought comes in, latch onto it. Ponder it heavily and try to find confirmation of it. If 5 people say that your soup was terrible, but one says that it was amazing, use the one compliment. Fuel yourself with this and find others that confirm it. During my days as a chef, I got plenty of negative feedback. This didn't stop me. I remember one evening that I was at a grill station later in my career. A Senate candidate came in and ordered a ribeye well done. I know, we're off to a bad start. I cooked it, well done, but not a complete hockey puck. He sent it back. Imagine if I took that as I can't tempt my steaks. Where would I have ended up? Instead, I put it back on the grill and pressed every bit of juice out. He later told the server that it was the best steak he had eaten. I learned 2 things right there. 1, some people have really poor taste. And 2, don't vote for that guy. So I will be trying both of these exercises for the next 30 days. I will be more mindful and try to accentuate the positive. As I continue my journey in the pursuit of knowledge, why not leave a little room for fringe ideas? As I mentioned earlier, ideas become convictions. Being able to change my ideas into a conviction is something that I would be glad to include in mine. If I earned it, please consider liking and subscribing. If I didn't earn it, tell me in the comments. Thank you.